Peace in, folks. How you doing? Use the force. Positive mental attitude. You know how we do. So, how you all doing? Hope you well. It's been a week since my last video, so I thought I'd better, drop in and say hello. If I did editing and stuff, there'd be loads of little clever, like, screens moving around of little clippets of me working and stuff like that, but I'm not. So you'll just have to imagine that shit, won't you? Yeah, hope you're all well. So, man, same old gig. I'd love to see some more minds moving towards a change mindset, I'd like to see more people speaking, not even speaking, do you know what? It's not even about speaking, it's about getting informed first, isn't it? Because this is something that, I said it in one of my last videos, is like, I'm aware that change isn't going to come quick. It could do really easily, but I don't think it's going to from where we're at. And, I always want to chuck up a video to try and encourage a bit of, self-reflection, a bit of external reflection, a bit of like, if the many people that are speaking out, not like forget COVID, like I know it's pretty hard to do at the moment, but like forget that, because I've been speaking long before that, and I'm not about, we've had a psychological fucking trick played on us, do you know what I mean? And it's going to take a bit of work to realise it yourself. And surely I just think, isn't it worth, if someone's in front of you going, like, I realised I'd been like, how to say it, manipulated into a mindset that wasn't healthy, that perpetuated a system that seems to benefit very few and persecute many, and has done for too long. And I just think, do you know what, like, personally, hands up, I don't want to support that shit. I think we can have a worldwide community that's connected, that isn't ruled globally. Was it the Persians? Is that what I want to say? I think it was the Persians. They've done a cracking job at it. Like, there's been empires that didn't run like dominating empires. It was like they had international trade agreements. Right, that's what it looks like to me, and that's all I think we need. Like, international trade that's got like laws of standard with it, and then locally you have local trade that has laws of standard in it, and then you make sure locally decisions can be made, and big decisions don't get made big. They get made by the small decisions being made, and then I don't know. Anyone else want to jump in? Do you know what I mean? There's many options and avenues. You could either then have a board of people that we've selected from each area that's going to, talk about things, or we're all going to vote on like loads of different things. But even voting, like the way I see a structure change, like just for me, just speaking freely with how I feel and see things, if, people were to become aware, if, as this economy crumbles more, and as like these pressures come in, if we can come together, if we can look at the psychology that's got us and kept us where we are, if we can go, all right, well, there's other ways, let's make it happen. If all that can happen, I think we wouldn't need government in the way that we have it. Like I said, I think international trade needs to be done. Local trade needs to be done. We need to have people taking care of that, and it needs to be regulated. Right? Over and above that, we should have like a teaching of sovereignty, which is like being fully responsible for yourself, your actions. But the education system will be able to be altered so that actually it's got a lot more of a like mindful, heartful feel to it, that's not just aimed at business, right? And if you're not going to do well at business, then you'll basically look down upon, right? So I just think he's not cool. you know, as one of the people that was looked down upon. That didn't feel cool to me, you know. So I think there's many reasons to like go, all right, is it even like, is this guy here chatting shit? No, right? And if not, then let me have a look at where the education system was created, where it was, you know, redesigned, where deals are made that have affected today's life, right? There's choices that seem to get made when you look at government and like what actually happens. There's things that just cross over, you know, prime ministers. There's things that just cross over the changing of the leader, right? And these things all become pretty obvious, and then it's all there, right? If you want to have a look at history and be objective, right? We just look at history and we're objective, right? And we're like, well, you know, people were just warring for like too long, right? Over control of like land and the people on it, right? Like, on behalf of the land and people on it, I just want to say fuck off, you know? Because I think, what are we doing, right? Are we living, or are we just like in some perpetuating cycle that's just repeating the same problems? Like, you look into law, right? And you look into the legal system, right? And then you start looking at crimes locally, right? And this is a funny thing, right? My stepdad said this to me years ago, right? And it's become more sort of prolific now. I've sort of found out a lot of information myself and become more aware of the workings of society. But my stepdad doesn't even, I think he was a bit of a rebel when he was younger, but he totally turned all that off. Like, he's nothing like me. Although, you know, I've definitely taken some things from him. He helped raise me, what can I say? Anyway, and there's this thing, right, whereby you look into areas, right, and it doesn't matter where in the world you do this, it seems. I've since found out, but my stepdad said to me, the same crimes have been happening on the same streets, in the same areas, for like hundreds of years. It's in the police records, like, this is known, right? So we're repeating something that isn't serving us or the planet or anything that might be connected to us and the planet, right? So I just think it's worth it. It's worth getting a bit of awareness, right? It's worth it, you know? What rings through my head is like someone that once said to me, like, when they were seeing me have a hard time, and they were just putting what I knew as to be the hard time. And I was trying to say that wasn't just it. But either way, and they said to me, you know, oh, it just seems a bit hard, like, knowing all this stuff, dealing with it and blah, blah. And I'm like, sure. But, you know, the hardest bit is other people not. It's not actually that hard knowing lots of stuff about, like, good and bad things that happen all around the world, right? I'll talk about solutions as much as I will problems, right? You know, there's different ways of farming. There's different ways of, like, let's just say there's different ways of farming, from food to drink to electricity to... There's so many available alternative opportunities, right? It's bonkers. Like, there is no reason other than perpetuating the cycle that's been helping these motherfuckers that are sitting at the top of it, right? Just benefiting off of, you know, it's basically like there's this whole theory about labour, as in human labour, and how really that just creates the true wealth for those that are in control, right? Which is, you know, kind of what's been happening for a long time, right? So I'm getting bored of it. I'm bored of it. Like, you know, if I've been reincarnated before, which I'm damn sure I have, I'm bored of it, right? I'd like this lifetime to be about change, right? So I'm selfish, right? I'm selfish. I love change. I learned to embrace that a long time ago, when I learned to embrace myself at a younger age and realised that made me therefore a little bit different than a lot of other people. Not everyone, you know. There was other cool kids at school. Well, I was not one of the cool kids at school. I was the outcast of the outcast of the outcasts, right? I was like literally fringe dwelling, you know. By the time I've said this shit before. Anyway, but so I've never really cared about fitting in. I was blessed with not having that worry, so I can say what the fuck I like. So I do, right? And there's nothing wrong with like I know how I speak on like fitting in and blah 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 and what the school system does to us, and I can imagine for some people that wouldn't be necessarily the easiest thing to hear me talk about, being the fact that they've been through it. And if you haven't faced it, or you don't necessarily want to, but there's so much joy, right? In one of the things that drives me on is just the fact that I know it's the right thing to do. Not that anyone's doing the wrong thing, right? Just to fucking chuck disclaimers on this. I truly am always speaking for myself, unless I state otherwise, right? But lost my flow a bit there. At the end of the day, embracing change, right? You just start doing it in small areas, but look to be aware, because one of the reasons why I encourage this so much, right, is because of the fact that because I see #psychological activist, right, because I see psychology as being one of the major fucking tools in how we have been kept in this perpetuating cycle, crimes, same areas all over again, blah, 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 blah. And there's so many things like that this society creates. It's a fucking Groundhog Day society, right? I hated that film, not because it was a bad film, it was an alright film, but Groundhog Day, right? And we're all like, I was going to say bred to do it, which in a way it is, because like our parents before us and our parents before them, and it gets a little bit flaky after that because there was a lot more like, the further back you go, the more attachments there are to freer ways, right? Before like the Roman Empire, right? Before the empires and these people with their power that wanted to, I can't pretend to know what they want and what they wanted, right? But they've been dominating the fucking world on some what appears to be power hungry fucking, I wanted to say satanic, but then I'm not, like, just bonkers, right? Nutters, there are a lot of them running around banging to control us all and fucking do whatever it is they want. Well, I'm bored of it. Right, I mean, I get the fuck on with what I'm doing, right? And most of what I'm doing is aimed at speaking out in one way or another and having fun, right? I always like to do the two. It can't be all serious and it can't be all fun. There's got to be a nice little balance in there. So, that's what it is. A nice punchy kick in the mix. Honestly, I'm bonkers about mixing at the moment. It's just a joy, It's important to have things that you can, I think it's important to have things where you can be a bit creative. Some things, a lot of things take a lot of fucking work, and mainly what drives you on through the beginning of not being that good is your desire to be good at it. And and then you become better at things. Some people will be like fucking Premier League football players, and other people will be like Division 1, if you want to use some type of a metaphor. And I'm not really that into football or soccer, as the Americans love to call it. I wonder if they do that just because they know it winds up all the English football fans. I don't give a shit. It's a game. It's part of the control system to me, in a light way, without it all being like, oh my god, what are you saying about football? Like, any sports, any idols, it's just distraction business, right, folks? And we're coming up on that damn time, Week flies by and so does 15 minutes. So I'm going to say to you, up in a building, use the force. Positive mental attitude. Be kind with your thoughts to yourselves and to others. Keep loving your hearts for yourselves and others. Be considerate, and let's get it. Get what, John? Awareness, of course. Peace in.